Welcome back, everybody. Just Mike here. Anyway, today we have an anniversary clock. I have no idea what brand name it is or anything else, and I bought it for a really good price as far as I'm concerned. And the Pendulum was number one, the reason why I bought it, and the glass dome, the type it is the other reason. Let me show you the clock. So this is the Pendulum. And I do believe the way you adjust this pendulum, I'll show you inside there, it would drop into the part that keeps us from wobbling around. You'd lift that up, that holds on to here, and then you can turn this here dial and these move out further. This is the clock, has no name on it. And I'm sure it does on the inside. But first, we're going to have to take this off to get the glass dome off. You see no markings. Oh, I guess there are some markings in there. Let me get my glasses on and see if I can see it, or maybe you can see that in there. So let's unscrew this. It's got a big old long screw. Heck, it could have had another inch on the dome if it wanted to, it's so long. There we go. It's got some tape stuck to it. Glass. So seeing this pulled out, I almost want to say, I don't know if someone tried to fix it or what, but I see that's pulled away, which can be snapped right back. Let's see if you can see this. This here is what I was talking about, that you would possibly adjust the speed to your pendulum, because that square hole there fits on there. So I imagine what you do is you'd raise this up if you have to adjust it, and then turn it one way or the other depending on whether you need to make this thing go faster or slower. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take this off, and we're going to take the hands off so we can see what's going on. Or we don't really care, I guess, what's going on. We just want to take this thing apart. Now when it comes to the spring wire, this is the only part I have. The bottom is totally missing, and it's just the one that hooks on there. And I might have extra parts here for that type of stuff. If not, I'm going to have to order a set or the one for there. And I see this has got a taper pin in order to release that. So I got that out and destroyed that pin. I wouldn't be putting that pin back in anyway. So let me go ahead and take these hands off now and see if that does any better. Oh yes, a lot easier. I kind of think someone tried to repair this clock and gave up. I'm not sure. Like I say, it's mainly because this here dial, or the brass ring on here, is loose. And The way to get it off, I see there's a nut here. This bottom screws that holds this in is loose, but there's a nut here and a nut there. Face off, I took the two screws out of there so you can lift this up and get it off the stand. And realistically, this looks like it's been in the house all the time because the stand is actually fairly clean. This is normal for just age, the color of it. Anyway, I'm going to look in the book and see if I can find this plate so we can see what size spring wire it needs. So this is the plate I have, and being that it's definitely in black and white where I can see it, where it's really faded looking across here. Here I can find out the name of the thing, and the spring wire that I need is a 0.0023. And it says, when it says unit, that's telling you which diagram to watch for to set your wire up. So this is 29A and 29B. So it shows the whole structure. Now, it's showing a block, which most of them are blocks. But like I say, this block won't have the hole. It should have the two pins that hold or catch the pendulum. So I got my page marked there, and we'll check out and see if we have a spring wire for it. So just by luck, I happened to just order these, and there it is. Now I'm getting ready to let this down. I don't know if you can see, but right here it's bulged out. I don't know if I can, let's say, push that back in and it's going to work or not. Well, we'll find out. And also I noticed that the teeth for this to hold, some of them are chipped off, so I'm going to have to see about getting a new gear for the clicker. So I'm going to try to let this down. I should be able to lift this up. Get a screwdriver just in case. Try to wind this up a little bit to where it'll release. It feels like they overwound it. There we go, get release. Yeah, it's wound fully. There we got the release all the way. So I'm going to go ahead and, well, let's go ahead and release this. I'm going to go ahead and put my feet on here so it'll be ready when I get ready to take the rest of it apart. So we'll take this off first. This is kind of nice. It doesn't have an E-clip on here. I'm going to need a smaller screwdriver. Let's try this one. Now, just to let you know, I did take pictures all the way around to make sure, like I say, if this is your first time doing this, get those pictures. That's going to be your friend. Now, you notice we have this one. We have this one. My two white balance isn't good. There we go. And then below here, I have a, let's just call it a bent washer. This is a friction washer that's going to hold the hands from just spinning willy-nilly. So we have that off. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take it apart this way. You got a choice of whichever way you feel. You got the screws there or the screws here. I think possibly this way might be better, mainly because the gear that has a clicker onto it. The only heavy weight is this one here, and that should be easy enough. So I'm going to move my legs to the other side. Took those two screws out. This one's right there. Now what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to lift this off of here, keep the gears in their place so I can get a picture straight down on this, so I can make sure I can get these back where they're supposed to be. And which your side views should get you there. Loosening them from these legs, or spacers, whatever you want to call them, all off but this one. There we go. So now, before it all falls apart, we can get a picture of this. So let's remove this first. This is going to fall out. Now let's take this out and maybe get a better picture of what you got to do. By the looks of it, this drum that has the main spring in it is going to be the last thing you stick back on here. So there, that popped off. We'll set it back on there the way it's supposed to be, which you can pretty much tell which way it's supposed to be by looking at the clicker. But you can see how wore out this thing looks. See, this side doesn't look too bad, but the teeth are kind of chipped and mangled. That one is, one, two, at least two of them. Now this one would work again, but if I can get one ordered soon enough, I'm going to go ahead and get one ordered and get it back in this clock. So now all of that stuff's off of there. Get a picture, you can see really good what it's supposed to look like. So let's go ahead and pull this apart. This here looks pretty nice. In so many words, it actually, at the moment, looks clean. So that's why I say if someone was in here, I don't know why they stopped or what they might not have got right. That one's still in there. That might have a gear attached to it. Let's check it out and see. I say these look pretty good. That should come out. Yeah, there it goes. It's just kind of stuck. It's got the threads on it instead of a pin, a taper pin to hold the hands on. Now I didn't shake the gears, and normally I don't worry about shaking them until I have the thing tore apart clean, and I'll put it back together, and then I'll shake them, because usually it might be so dirty that you wouldn't be able to tell. This here, I don't see any bushings in here. These are fresh, let's call them fresh, drilled to accept the gears. These plates, I'm going to put through the cleaner, but I'm not going to leave them in that long. They do have a coating on them. Now this one here, I think I'm going to go ahead and release it, because it's got discoloration. I don't know what that is, but this way I can clean this one even longer. It's not all shined up like this plate, so I can leave that in with the gears. So now let's get this barrel apart. I prefer to wear leather gloves. So the easiest way I've been taught is get yourself a piece of wood or the end of your screwdriver, hold on to it, just that pops the plate out. And this plate, you can see where that is. I'm told it's supposed to be right where that rivet is. Personally, I don't think it makes any difference. It just depends on where it'll go back in at. So I'm trying to take that out. This here just comes off. And so this is the part where you need the gloves. I try to get started out far enough that I can grab a hold of it and then start twisting and trying to wiggle it out of here the best I can, and it's really in here. And it might be nice to have glasses on too. So I'm trying to get a little bit of length of that coming out. Don't go back in there. They're starting to come out. Still quite a bit in there. This may take some time. Sometimes they just come right out. Other times, and this one here, now let me take a feel. It might be dry. Well, it didn't feel, I mean, it feels dry, but it might have some slickum on it. But if it does have some slickum on it, there's not much in there. That might be why I'm having such a problem getting this thing out. There you go. Like I say, it's dangerous. So anyway, that pin in there looks okay. I don't know why it's bulged out like that. I don't know if I'm going to try to pop that in again. Being so that's kind of scratched up there, there's a chance they had to put a new rivet in here, and that's caused from smashing it, trying to smash it in this way. We might just leave that alone. I'm going to guess this was working. You could buy a new barrel too if you want to. I'm just going to see if I can get this thing running with that spring being cleaned. Now here again, I don't know anything about this clock when it comes to how many days this is supposed to run, but this doesn't have very many wraps. And I'm kind of new at this, so looking at a spring, I would say this is just an 8-day. It could be a 400-day clock or whatever, I don't know. But like I say, we're going to clean this. Has very little. If it does have any lube on there, it's really thin. But when we clean this, whoops. When we clean this, oh, this here is going to have to get straightened out just a little bit. Don't straighten out too much. You'll never get back in. But when you clean this, this has got a memory of this size. And I'll probably forget, but the measurement here, well, before we forget, do I have a tape measure here somewhere? Yep. Let's just give it a free, let's measure from where that thing's bent, I guess. We have 3.5 inches. When I get done cleaning this, which I'm gonna, it doesn't have to, it's not that bad, but I'm gonna go ahead and put it through the clock cleaner. Then I'm gonna use WD-40, and I have a, somewhere around here, I have a green, or not green, it's that reddish brown scratch pad that you can get over at Home Depot or whatever. It's not too abrasive, but it's enough to clean this. Anyway, I'll soak this with WD-40 and then rub it on both sides like this. And as I'm doing that, I'm going to be straightening this spring out. Straightening the spring out like that is going to start taking out the memory that this spring has, in hopes that we gave this a measurement. Now we'll see what it is once I'm done, if this gets any bigger. Now I go as far as I can. Usually I can't get to the center. It's just too tight and it doesn't want to unroll. Anyway, after the WD-40, it's a good cleaner, but you have to get it off because it's an acid. And so what I do is I use denatured alcohol and re-wipe this down, and then with the spring being dry, I'll put it back into the barrel because it's easier that way. And then once it's in the barrel, I'll go ahead and use regular clock oil on here to lube this up to make it new again. Sorry, the heater's on just the same. I don't remember. I think it was 3.5 inches. And we're just about 3 4/8. But you can already tell it looks bigger. So the memory's taken out, now to get it back in there. I'm going to try to be as careful as I can, but this plate, it's shiny, but there is a film on here. And so I'm going to take a little of the brass cleaner and clean it, and hopefully not get this scratched up too much. If it does, I'm just going to go ahead and just take that finish off of there. I already got the ratchet deal on there. And I started to put together, but I forgot I wasn't videoing. Yep. So now the time lapse commences. Yep, I think that end will work. Nice to have spare parts. So on this one here, to get it apart, you had to loosen those screws, or you could take them out, but I just loosened them up. And then this pin that goes across is a taper pin. And so I had to, as you can see the marks on there, but I had to grab it and twist it to get it to come out because I couldn't push it. And finally it loosened enough that the old wire came out. Now I'm going to see if I can slide the new wire in here and then work my way back the other way to get the spring wire made. I also forgot to show you on this movement. This says this movement is 1953. So coming back to here, 29A and 29B. So the 29, let's move this out of the way. 29B, the head seems to match. Actually, they both match. I don't know why they have two different ones. But whoever had this set up before, that one's sticking up too tall. The forks. Let's move this over to this one. Yep, same way, they had that up too high. So let me unscrew this next. And these forks are actually two metal rods coming out of there. Okay, I got it all built to the specs, what the book says. I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. So I was wanting to buff this out, try to get the brass color look back. I'm not going to worry about it because I have to wait till some Dremel buffing or polishing bits come in so I can try that on there. I could start by hand right now, but I'm just going to wait because I'll get it partway done and then I won't want to come back to it. And that's a bad thing. So anyway, let me go ahead and get the movement here bolted back down. Don't know if it's level or not. So what we're going to look for now we're going to watch this thing and see if it ticks. There. Nope. That'll loosen this a little bit. So I can turn it. Oops. So there wasn't much I could find out about this clock, except that it was built in 1953 and is brought over by the Trading Corporation, which sounds like they went across, bought all these types of clocks and whatnot and brought them to the US to sell. Anyway, the last one that sold 6 years ago that looks really close, if not this clock, was $290. The main thing that, in my opinion, that brings this clock to a higher price is because of the disc down there that's a pendulum, and because of this part here. It's a collector's item, the best I can find. Anyway, of course this is a torsion clock because of the type of pendulum it has, and they say it's a 400-day clock, which makes me happy. It makes sense having the dome where it's not that easy to take off. It takes a while to get it off. Why would you want to wind it once a week having that? So very happy it's a 400-day clock. They also stopped making this type of clock with that pendulum because in the back, that lever that you would turn, it's got a square end on it that fits up into this pendulum, which has a square hole underneath there, and you'd slide the lever over and then you would go ahead and adjust it with that finger hold dial part or whatever on the pendulum. And they found that was too hard to get the fine adjustments to either speed up or slow this clock down, compared to the normal, we'll call them anniversary clocks, where you just spin it right on the shaft and you could fine tune the spinning on the shaft compared to this one. So I hope you learned something on this clock, because I sure did. And I did enjoy working on it. And like I said before, I think someone started trying to clean and fix this clock, and they finally gave up, and they were so close of getting it done right. Anyway, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Give me a healthy thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe because it's free. And until next time, God bless.